Alright YouTube, it's Nuclear Weasel here bringing you a Magic the Gathering deck profile. And I decided that since I haven't done it before, so I'll do it now, I'm going to start uploading Magic deck profiles. Now this is really hard for me to do only because I don't have all the money like Legacy and Modern players do. I've only been playing for about roughly a year and a half now, so it's difficult for me to really play and, you know, have money in my pocket for gas and food, whatnot. But the point is that I can show you what decks I have and what are in the process of building. Like, as all of you know, coming in September, the new set will, or the old set will cycle out. So now we have to, or I want to get this deck out there for you guys all to play and to see if you like playing it. Alright, so now we're on to the creatures. 4 Augur of Bolas, a must in this deck. I didn't even tell you what deck it is yet. Well then, excuse me for saying that this is a blue-black mill. Now it's really, really, really rough build. I mean, like, it has quite a few cards in it that are musts, but others are, in my opinion. Like, these are 4 musts. You have to have 4 Augurs. It's a great card against aggro, and you go and get the instance you need to mill your opponent out. A lot of debate over this card. 2 Jace's Phantasms. Phantasms are really good if you can get them out turn 2 and, like, turn 1 Tome Scour, turn 2 play Jace Tome Scour. Then he's a 5/5. He's really good, but he doesn't need to be in this deck. He's mainly a board card, or really good against aggro, so you can have a blocker. Alright, the most expensive card in the deck. 2 Snapcasters. I'm actually borrowing these from a friend. They're in my little brother's deck for now. Snapcasters, really, really good card to flashback all those mill cards so that you can go for game. So, fun card. 2 Memory Adepts, because I think that any more than 2 is way too many. The 5-drops in this are really rough to cast half the time. And you just want to mill them as fast as you can, and by the time you're done, you played your entire hand. So, Jace, for the aggro matchup, you want to go for the +1. That way he still lives and they can mill 10 and you get an extra card out of it. Or if you go in the control matchup or the slow decks, you just mill 10, mill 10. Really good card. Alright, now we're on to the instants. 4 Thought Scours. The draw power in this deck relies on these only because Think Twice doesn't do anything for the main win condition of milling. And that's, so this is a must-have. It's the mill 2 in the draw card, and it's a Snapcaster ability that you can go and do that again. So it's really good. Tome Scours. 4 Tome Scours, and it's gonna hurt with these cycle out. It's gonna really hurt this deck a lot because that's 6 mill 6 for 3 mana. So it's definitely a necessity, and it's gonna hurt his deck a lot when it rolls out. 2 Crypt Incursions. These go out against the aggro match, or no, not the aggro. They stay in for aggro. So good against aggro. I've watched actually at the 1K, my little brother and I went to, he was actually playing against me, and he gained 51 life in that turn. I was so depressed because he milled all my cards out. He actually almost won that match, and I'm sorry, my little brother, but I'm not going to let you win against me. So Crypt Incursion's definitely a must-have. Only 2 Psychic Strikes, because you don't want to rely on countering your opponent. You just want to mill them so they have no options left in their deck other than land and useless creatures late game. So milling, it's mainly for anybody who's running a slow deck or really big cards. You keep these in your hand, and if you need them, then cool. If you don't, then they just stay there. For the creature control, we have only 2 Devour Flushes instead of 4, as most mill decks would run, because you want to keep the creatures off the field while you're milling cards so you're not eating damage every turn. Devour Flush is definitely a must-have. That way you're clearing the board, so they have no responses left later in the game. Alright, sorceries. Mind Sculpt. Now that's a must-have. If you're running mill, this is a playset of. So, yeah, I don't need to explain Mind Sculpt. It's going to hurt his deck a lot when that rolls out too, but he'll survive. Recently reprinted is Tome Scour. Tome Scour is 1 for 5. Great card to play. I don't need to explain it either. Alright, a lot of trauma over this card. Aha. Traumatizes. There's only 4 or 5 drops in here, the 2 Jaces and 2 Traumatizes. Traumatizes are really good beginning of the game if you can get them off, but they're really not necessary. They're really fun to have and play later, that way there's less cards in the deck. But the point is that by the time you get 5 turns in and you can actually play it, there should be at least 30 cards in the graveyard. So you're only going to mill 15, and then that gives you a Jace option or a flashback into anything else from Snapcaster. So it's really mainly for getting rid of most of the deck that you don't have the options for. And the last sorceries are 2 breakings, not the entering part. Forget that. This is the good card. That's the bad card. All right, breakings. I would run 4, but the black in this deck is hard pressed sometimes. So we figured we'd turn it mainly into blue and rely solely on that color, blue. And black, there is enough black in here to run any of the black spells without getting flooded on black mana, and you're not sitting there with no blue. Alright, onto the land. I do believe we are running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 islands. 10 islands, that way you're not, like I said, getting flood on swamps. Swamps are bad when you're trying to run a mill deck when most of the mill cards are blue. So that's pretty straightforward on colors. Dimir Guild Gates, because like I said, the black is sometimes hard pressed, so you want as much dual land as you can get. These aren't necessary, and there is a playset of both Watery Graves and Drowned Catacombs, so really these are just as a what if. If you need them, cool, they enter tapped. So it's a 1 turn later do something, so it's not too bad, but usually it's late game when you draw them because there's only 2. Now the boss land of the deck, Nefalias. Nefalias, I'm actually thinking about running only 3 because it's too many times when I'm clogged with 2 in hand, and then you're only running 1 blue on the field. So 4 Nefalias is iffy, maybe 3. 3 definitely, no lower than 3. 2 is you don't get it. 3 you get it a lot. 4 you get it too much. So probably 3 is where it's at. Now if you excuse me, I'm going to go and get his deck box that has his sideboard in it. So give me a second. Oh, in this deck, it went top 8 at our locals, so he did do pretty well in the M14 game day. Alright, for the aggro, when you're really going against aggro, you want Fog Banks, so you're not eating damage every turn like I said. Also, Devour Flushes. This is mainly, I'm just showing you all the stuff in the sideboard for aggro. Nighthawks for control and aggro, and definitely one of the greatest cards for against aggro. It's white of Precinct 6, gains a +1 for every creature in the grave. Now that would really hurt Crypt Incursion, because if you exile it then he just becomes a 1/1, but becomes a really big threat on the field. Now we're into the controls really. In Psychic Spiral, any mill deck has to run a Psychic Spiral for the control matchup. 2 more breakings. So when you're going for the control matchup and you gotta push mill in their face and make sure they don't have anything. Also for the control matchup is the Psychic Strike. So you're running 4 Psychic Strikes, and then you can counter what they're doing. And then when you're mana flooded, Mind Grinds. Also for the control matchup. Basically, his sideboard is set up so he is not screwed against other control decks, which I watched him beat one of my good friends who was running American at game day. He beat him just fine without using the sideboard. But the point is that this board is set up so it's well defended against any and every control deck. Because other control decks really hurt Mill, so control decks fear this sideboard. This is all custom made. No one has told me what to build in this. I have built his deck from the ground up. Started from nothing and worked our way here. And that's it. So, if you have any comments, leave a comment below, making any suggestions about the deck, and I can definitely test in my free time. We have lots of free time. So, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and thanks for watching.